go over to the European continent and over to France, where on the eve of a no-confidence vote that could topple his government, French Prime Minister François Bayrou has warned that local political forces, long divided in the National Assembly, are now united in seeking his removal. The vote comes after months of political deadlock that followed French President Emmanuel Macron's snap parliamentary election in 2024, which left France with a fractured assembly and the far-right National Rally as the largest party. Macron's alliance, already without a majority since 2022, has struggled to pass legislation amid rising public debt, which has reached 113.9% of GDP. Bayrou, Macron's fourth prime minister since his re-election, attempted to push through a 2026 budget aiming to save 44 billion euros through pension freezes, healthcare cuts and the scrapping of public holidays. The plan sparked strong opposition, and Bayrou ultimately called a confidence vote on his fiscal strategy. Opponents have dismissed it as a gamble and have reportedly made clear that they would vote him out. Let's take a listen in to what the French Prime Minister had to say.
L'idée que toutes les formations politiques ont dit que bon, elles allaient abattre le gouvernement.
Elles l'ont dit.
Toutes.
Si on se fie à ce qu'il dit, c'est fini.
En dehors des formations qui sont membres du gouvernement, elles disent toutes il faut abattre le gouvernement. Et à quoi ça sert d'abattre le gouvernement? Voilà des formations politiques qui non seulement ne sont d'accord sur rien, mais bien pire que ça, sont en guerre civile ouverte les unes avec les autres et en haine les unes avec les autres. Et elles se mettent ensemble pour abattre le gouvernement.
C'est un terme comme très fort.
Oui, entre LFI et le Rassemblement national, c'est quoi? C'est de la guerre civile, y compris parfois dans l'hémicycle physique. Les députés des uns qui refusent d'accorder un regard ou de serrer la main aux députés des autres, même quand ce sont des jeunes députés. Ce sont des formations qui sont hostiles jusqu'aux racines les unes aux autres et qui vont s'allier pour abattre le gouvernement sur une question. Il y a pire dans la vie que d'être à la tête d'un gouvernement, que ce gouvernement rencontre des difficultés et qu'il soit renversé. Je vous assure qu'il y a beaucoup pire. La maladie d'un enfant, c'est bien pire. Le fait de se retrouver au chômage, c'est bien pire. Le fait
We're once again joined by Keith Vaz to discuss French politics in a bit more detail. Keith, France has been facing political instability over the past few years. What more can you tell us about François Bayrou and his possible no-confidence vote and the instability and unpopularity of the French President, Emmanuel Macron?
Look, French politics has not been unstable, actually, until President Macron decided to call an election. He had a workable majority last year, and instead of using that majority, he decided to dissolve Parliament to get a better mandate, and the result was he lost his majority in the French Assembly. So it very much is his fault when politicians feel that they need to bolster their position and actually end up in a position where they are not going to get a bigger majority. So from that point of view, it's very, very clear that he lost his majority. Looks as if the right and the left, uniquely in French politics, are going to get together in order to basically knock down the government of François Bayrou. And as a result of that, there's a possibility that Macron himself might believe that he cannot continue as president and call presidential elections. I think that's going to be unlikely. I don't think he's the kind of guy who necessarily gives up the presidency. So he will have to work with whoever the Assembly decides is going to be the prime minister. And knowing the division in France, they may agree on getting rid of this particular prime minister, but there'll be no agreement on who the next prime minister is going to be.
Yes, Keith, do stay with us. We have more from France. Meanwhile, right-wing supporters of France's Les Républicains are speaking out ahead of the confidence vote in the National Assembly. At an autumn conference near Paris, members of the party have said that they would vote against the government and called for clearer and more decisive measures to promote savings. Let's listen in to what they had to say.
Moi, je voterai contre. C'est pas ça qu'on veut. Il faut des solutions beaucoup plus nettes et claires en faveur d'économie. Économie, comme nous on fait chez nous dans notre foyer. On fait des colonnes. Ils ont qu'à faire des colonnes.
En toute sincérité, je ne la voterai pas. Parce que j'estime qu'en fin de compte, M. Macron, qui a sali les LR lorsqu'il a pris quand il a été président, d'accord, il a vraiment été, il nous a déchirés. En fin de compte, je ne vois pas pour quelle raison d'aller dans son gouvernement.
Bayrou? Ah ben sûrement pas. Mais qu'est-ce qu'il a fait ce monsieur? Moi, je vais lui donner un conseil. Qu'il remonte sur son tracteur et puis qu'il arrête de nous bouffer la vie comme il fait. Non mais c'est quoi ce monsieur? Qu'est-ce qu'il a fait là depuis qu'il est là? Alors, vous lui avez montré la sortie? Je crois que lundi, il s'en va lundi. Hein? Bon voyage.
Je veux dire, si la gauche socialiste range à Matignon, moi, je n'ai pas de raison d'être contre. Parce que si les LR continuent à faire partie du gouvernement, je ne vois pas de raison de leur refuser. Voilà. Mais après, évidemment, s'ils commencent à avoir une ligne dure et contre les principes LR, dans ce cas-là, il faudrait les s'asseoir.
We are now joined once again by Keith Vaz to discuss this further. Keith, you were speaking about previously that the possibility that the left and the right might convene later on. What more can you tell us about the stability in French politics? Also the rise of right-wing politics in Paris. What are your thoughts, Keith?
Well, Marianne Le Pen has been rising for several decades, both herself and her father, through their party. There's nothing that's going to stop that, and this is not about that. This is about the French president's inability to stick to the mandate that he was given, and as a result, you have other people calling the tune. The right and the left will come together. They will bring down the French government, and nothing is going to stop that happening. But they won't be able to agree on a successor. And that is the one thing that Macron has in his hands, the fact that they don't know who's going to be the next Prime Minister of France. It has massive implications for the rest of Europe, because France, along with Germany, are the driving forces behind the EU. It has massive implications for the United Kingdom. If there's no French government and nobody bothering about what's happening in Calais and watching the boats leaving France and coming to the UK, I'm afraid those are going to increase enormously. And the new Home Secretary and the new cabinet unveiled by Keir Starmer is not going to be very pleased about that. It's not going to please the German Chancellor. He's just had a meeting with the entire German cabinet and the French cabinet in France, in the south of France, the 25th such meeting over the years. And he is not going to be very pleased either. So this is not just about France. This is the central country that helps to govern Europe. And it's going to have catastrophic consequences if they can't get a government formed. So I think that Macron will have to use all those immense skills that he has, on the one hand, in chatting up European leaders, on the other, chatting up Donald Trump, all those great skills that Macron does possess. Very charming president. All that French charm will have to be used to get a new prime minister in place, supported by the left and the right. How he's going to do that and what names he has left to put before the French Assembly, I think all of us would like to see. But in the short term, it seems very certain that this government will fall.
Keith Vaz, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much for taking the time.